So, welcome to class tonight. Go ahead and find yourself in a comfortable position. If you want to sit up, go ahead and sit up tonight. But if you have had a long day and you want to lay down for the first couple minutes of class as we're getting started, feel free to lie down. We'll just spend the first 5 minutes or so just grounding ourselves, centering ourselves, and getting to class. I have shifted back to working outside of home in the last few weeks and have really been noticing how much time it can take to really get to a yoga class when I'm taking it mentally. And so we'll spend the first 5 minutes or so just breathing, just being, and just noticing where we are to really disconnect from where we were and all of the things on our mind from there and just be in this place for an hour together. So wherever you are, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes and just begin to take a couple deep breaths, whatever that means to you, and notice what your body feels like. And we'll just kind of start with a body scan tonight from our toes up to the top of our head. And so as you're breathing, taking whatever a deep breath means to you, remembering that any version of a deep breath is a deep breath. As long as it's deeper than the one before, it's a deep breath for you. So remembering throughout our practice not to cast judgment on what we think our body should do, should be able to do, or if we're doing two-sided poses, expecting one side to be like the other. So go ahead and begin to just continue breathing and notice how your toes feel. Maybe you wiggle them around, maybe you bend and flex them a little bit. Just notice how they feel. If you've had shoes on throughout the day, just letting them be free, stretch out a little bit. And then continuing, notice how your ankles feel. If you're lying down, maybe you windshield wiper your feet side to side. If you're seated, maybe just placing your hands on them, giving a little bit of a massage to your ankles if you'd like. And then continuing up our legs, noticing how your shins and your calves feel. If you've been on your feet today, noticing what it feels like to be off of your feet, off of your legs, not using these muscles at all right now. And then notice your knees and think to yourself if you have any sort of knee strain, knee pain, or discomfort when you stretch your knees, just pay attention to that throughout tonight's class. And if you need to adjust your body so that it feels more comfortable for your knees, please do so. We never want to cause ourselves pain, but we definitely in these classes focus on sensation. And then moving up our legs to our thighs, quads, and hamstrings. Noticing if you can sense any sort of tightness in them in the position that you're in. You might be able to, you might not. But we'll hopefully be able to release any tension and relax those muscles. And continuing up to our hips, our pelvic floor area. Many yin poses really focus on getting deep into our hips, which can often be a place that takes the practice from a physical practice to a mental or emotional practice because things get stuck in our hips. One side sometimes more than the other, but there's a lot of things happening in our hips, in our kind of our core area of our body, a lot of small, fine muscles that we don't often stretch or release that can really just get tight. And once we loosen them up, it's almost as if a floodgate can open up. So just notice how your hips feel. Notice if they feel tight at all. Notice if you believe that they're tight, you'll definitely find out as we move through poses. And then moving up, noticing your stomach, your abs, your lower back. Maybe you begin to notice if you have any sounds or rumblings or sensations in your stomach or in your digestive area. Knowing that through yoga, we get all things moving. And so your digestion might be impacted and twists can help aid in that. And other things can just get things moving. And it's all our body just working the way it's meant to. Taking a breath, just focusing on your core, your stomach, and the center of your body as we're about halfway up our body scan. Noticing how it feels to take a deep breath, imagining that you can breathe all the way down into filling up your belly and expanding the center of your body. And then continuing up, mentally scanning your body, noticing how your chest and your heart space feels. If you're seated, maybe you begin to kind of press your shoulders back and open up your chest a little bit. Maybe you've done that unconsciously already. And then moving up your body to your shoulders. If you're seated, maybe you want to do a couple shoulder rolls forward or backwards, inhaling them up to your ears, rolling them backwards or forwards. Just paying attention specifically to your shoulders for maybe the first time today or in a while. And then we'll just trace our mind's eye and our attention down each of our arms one at a time. So we'll start with our left arm, noticing how the top of your arm feels, your elbow, tracing all the way down to your fingertips, maybe lifting your hand up from either your body or your mat and doing a couple wrist circles, making sure to go each way, noticing if there's any sensation there. And then maybe stretching and gripping your fingers in and out into a stretched out hand and a fist. And then placing your hand back down, drawing that imaginary line back up your left arm, up to your shoulder, and across your chest. And this time going down with awareness, our right arm, from the top of our arm to our elbow, to our forearm, to our wrist. And lifting up your hand from where it is, again with those wrist circles, and then stretching and compressing your hand into a fist. And placing that hand back down on your body or the mat. And coming back up the right arm, back up to the shoulder, and just tracing across your collarbones again, doing a couple shoulder rolls up and back or back and forward. Moving up into your neck. If you're seated, we'll drop our right ear down to our right shoulder. Just notice what the left side of your neck feels like. Spend 3 breaths here. Maybe you have some snaps, crackles, and pops, or maybe you just notice the sensation. Maybe your ear doesn't drop very far because your neck is really tight. That's okay. Look down at your right shoulder, tuck your chin, and drop your chin to your chest so that you're looking down at the ground or down at your navel. Just notice what it feels like to let your head hang here. The back of your neck feels sensation. Continuing tracing that across your chest so that you're now looking at your left shoulder if you're seated. And shift your head so that your left ear is dropped towards your left shoulder. Noticing how this feels on the right side of your neck. If you're ever doing this and you'd like to add more sensation, you can bring your arms out into kind of a pyramid shape. The opposite arm from the shoulder your ears drops to. And twist your hand so that your palm is up towards the ceiling or down towards the ground. And that can add sensation to that next stretch. And on an inhale breath, bring your head back up to neutral. Eyes open or closed, just looking forward. And take a breath here. And on your next exhale, open your mouth and sigh out your mouth with your exhale. See if that allows your shoulders to just move farther away from your ears and drop a little bit and rest. And then on your next inhale, see if you can really notice what it feels like to inhale through your nose. Notice if you can smell anything. Notice if you've noticed the temperature. Maybe what it feels like to breathe in through your nose. And then let that breath go. And begin to notice your eyes. If your eyes are closed, maybe you're giving them a rest after looking at screens or other things that you needed to do throughout your day. Just letting them take a breath, take a break. And then on your next breath, inhaling and sitting up really tall, imagining that there's a string attached to the top of your head. It's just asking you to sit up a little straighter. It runs down the full length of your spine. Continuing to sit tall and exhaling. Take another inhale breath, and this time take an inhale breath and imagine that you can fill your entire body with your favorite color. As if you could just breathe that in, feel completely full of something that brings you joy. Maybe imagining that you can fill all of the places that you notice tension and just move that tension out, scrape it away with this color. And then open mouth exhale, knowing that you can always come back to using this visualization of filling yourself with your favorite color whenever you need to take a deep breath, to feel yourself full of calm energy. And then when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes and come up to a seated position if you aren't already in a cross-legged position. And we'll move into our first pose together, which will be a butterfly forward fold with one leg at a time. And so from the seated position, you can choose which leg you'll want to have stretched out and which leg you'll want to have in first. And so go ahead and come into butterfly legs. And so bringing the soles of your feet together. If you have any pets joining you, maybe they also sit with you in this posture. Just bring the soles of your feet together and then decide which leg you would like out first. I'll be having my left leg in and my right leg out. And so you can either have that leg outstretched directly in front of you or out at a 45-degree angle. So my left leg is in, my right leg is out at a 45-degree angle for my body. And take another inhale breath and sit up really tall. And then on an exhale, just begin to drape yourself forward. And if your leg is out to the side, you can either come directly forward over the center line of your body, or you can choose to twist and drape yourself over that outstretched knee. But using the next couple breaths to adjust yourself down, drape yourself forward. No need to worry about keeping a straight, tall spine in this. Just let yourself round, let your head drop, and just settle in and use your breaths as an inhale to make space and an exhale to move into that space. We'll be here for a couple minutes. Just opening up our inner thighs, opening up the backs of our legs, maybe our lower back as well. And letting your head hang can just allow your neck to rest. Don't have to worry about holding your head up. Just worry about resting and being here. Continuing to breathe. And maybe you come down onto forearms. Maybe you like to have your palms outstretched in somewhat of a child's pose, arms. And coming back to your breath, if you've lost it, taking 5 more breaths here on this side. Seeing if as you inhale, you can expand a little bit, maybe in your upper back or your lower back. And then as you exhale, can you move your chest a little bit closer to the ground or to your knee? And on your next breath, plant your hands, palms down, press into the ground or your mat, and slowly use your breath to guide you back up slowly, bringing your head up last, being careful with your neck, not moving too fast. When you get to the top, just take an inhale breath with your eyes closed if they are already closed. Feeling yourself sit tall, and bring your outstretched leg in back to butterfly. And place your hands on your ankles and just flap your wings for a little bit. Feeling what it feels like, noticing if there's differences from each side. And then go ahead and stretch out the opposite leg. So I'll have my right leg in, left leg out this time. Again, either a 45-degree angle or straight out in front of you. Take an inhale breath, sitting up tall. Maybe you even place your hands behind you and expand your chest up to the sky. And then on an exhale breath, folding forward. Using your breath to guide you deeper into this pose, not expecting yourself to go as deep as you can on your first fold or your first breath. Using your inhales to invite your body to notice where it's holding and gripping, make space, and then exhales move into that space. Kind of like your inhales are cleaning out the cobwebs, and then the exhales are getting into that corner. Making sure that you're not holding your head up if you don't need to. Let it drop. Feel that stretch around the back side of your neck again, letting your head hang. Seeing if on your next exhale you can sink just a little bit deeper for just another breath or two. Inviting your body to stretch out, let go, and unwind. And then placing your hands down in front of you on the ground in the mat, pressing them in, and slowly coming back up to an upright position, head coming up last. Move in any way that you need to with your neck and your shoulders. Maybe you want some neck stretches or rolls, or some shoulder rolls. Maybe you just want to look side to side. Notice what that does for the side of your neck, trying to look over each shoulder. And bring the soles of your feet back together. Flap your butterfly wings again, just a little bit. And then we're going to come into a lying spinal twist using our bolster. And so go ahead and grab the bolster or pillows that you have available and place it at the top of your mat long ways so that the short edge is at the short edge of your mat. And then go ahead and just come to where your left hip is sitting next to the bolster. And your legs can kind of be with your knees stacked on top of each other. Your left hip is against the bolster. You can also spread your knees out a little bit to the side so that one foot is kind of tucked in behind the other leg. And then you're kind of somewhat leaning a little bit on this bolster. And we're just gonna twist our upper body and our chest to the left so that it's over the bolster. So place one hand on each side of the bolster. Twist your upper body so that you're looking over the bolster towards the top of your mat. And then slowly on your next breath, walk your hands out like you would for child's pose, and drape your upper body over the bolster so that your chest comes down onto it. And you'll begin to feel this twist in your back. And if you'd like more of a twist, you can twist your head so that you're looking to the left and your nose is facing opposite of your knees, or you can bring your forehead down to the bolster or your left ear so that your nose is facing the same direction as your knees. But just allow yourself to drape down over this. If you would like to prop it up, put a block underneath it so that the bolster is closer to you for the twist to work best for you tonight. Feel free. Just let yourself be held by this bolster and supported, twisting, adjusting your legs as you need to, and just rest and release into this posture. And if you had one ear on the bolster and you'd like to try the opposite ear, feel free to go ahead and make that change. We're about halfway through. Seeing what a deep inhale feels like, noticing any cobwebs that you need to clean out, and then letting them go with an exhale, moving into that space. And planting your hands back on either side of the bolster, pressing into the mat, slowly lifting your upper body back up, looking straight up towards the top of your mat, walking your hands in. You'll notice that this unwinding might create even more sensation in your back you didn't realize was there. And then adjusting so that your lower back is against the bolster and you're facing the back of your mat, planting the soles of your feet on the mat, with your knees up to the ceiling, your hands behind you, just windshield wipering your knees side to side. Dropping your head back if you'd like to open up the front part of your neck and your chest. And then shifting so that your right hip is against the bolster during this pose on the other side. Adjusting the bolster as you need to, adjusting your legs as you need to. And then twisting so that you can place one hand on each side of the bolster, twisting to the right this time. Take an inhale breath, look up to the ceiling maybe, twist a little bit more. And then on an exhale, walk your hands out, drape your upper body and your chest over the bolster, and decide which ear you would like to have on the bolster first, whether you'd like to look towards your knees or opposite your knees. Each of them provide a different experience, and I'll tell you when we're halfway through if you'd like to try both. And then just using your breath to fully settle in, fully sink in, and see what the stretch has to offer you tonight. Maybe you just need to be held by the bolster, or maybe this twist allows you to kind of wring out something from your day or your week. And we're nearly halfway through. So if you'd like to use your next breath to switch which ear is resting on the bolster and turn your head in the opposite direction, go ahead and do so. On your next breath, placing your hands back on the mat, palms down, press into the mat and slowly begin to lift your chest off of the bolster, walking your hands back in towards your body, and then shifting again around so that your lower back is against the bolster. Plant your soles of your feet on the mat and windshield wiper your knees side to side, letting things come back to neutral. And then we're just going to come back, lying back on the bolster where it is right now. And so you can choose to have your feet back in butterfly legs again, or just outstretched in front of you, or planted on the mat. We're just going to lie ourselves back for about a minute or so, walking in the same direction over the bolster, but this time with our chest up. Lie yourself back. Allow the bolster to be at the base of your spine. And just coming to lie back with your heart open up towards the ceiling. You can choose where your arms are, whether they're stretched out to the side or up over your head. But we'll just spend 10 breaths here, letting ourselves feel open. Noticing what a deep breath is like as you breathe in to your chest and down to your belly, and seeing if you can let something go on an exhale, whether that be emotionally or physically, a place of tension, or just letting go of your expectations of how the class should go. Taking 4 more deep breaths here, lying back across your bolster. And on this final breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling out the mouth. And then press your elbows into the mat, tuck your chin to your chest. Slowly walk yourself back up, moving from elbows to forearms to palms. Coming up, being gentle with your spine. And then we're just going to shift onto hands and knees. You can leave the bolster where it is. It can be a prop for our next pose, which will be pigeon. Might want to shift it up a little bit. But coming onto hands and knees, we'll flow through some cat-cows to really move our spine in a way we haven't yet. So placing your hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Inhale and drop your belly, lift your head, look up towards the ceiling. And exhale, press into the mat, raise your upper back, up to the ceiling, dropping your head. Flow through 4 more of these on your own. Inhaling, looking up. And exhale, dropping your head, raising your heart. And if you'd like to wag your tail or look over one shoulder towards one hip while you do this, just move in any way that feels good for your spine for 3 more breath cycles. Last one. Inhale and exhale. Come back to a neutral spine. We're just going to move into pigeon pose. Some people prefer to come into this through downward dog, but I don't offer inversions in this class at this time. And so we'll start with our left leg forward. And so going ahead and pressing both hands into the mat, lifting up your left knee, bringing it towards your left wrist, opening up your ankle towards your right wrist, tucking your back toes of your right leg, inching that leg back in space, untucking your toes when you feel like it's stretched enough, adding anything such as a block or a blanket under your left hip if that feels like you need that. And then you can choose if you'd like to have the bolster for you to drape yourself over, or if you'd like to move it. It can feel nice sometimes to have this extra set of support. Maybe you wrap your arms around it like you might in a restorative child's pose. But having both hands pressed into the mat, lift your chest up, look up towards the ceiling. Notice what it feels like to take an inhale breath all the way down the front side of your body, opening up your right hip. And then on an exhale, walk your hands out and drape your upper body down over the leg, maybe over your bolster, and decide how you would like your head to be. Maybe you prefer to just have your forehead down, or one ear or the other. But just settle into pigeon pose, opening up your hips. Coming back to your breath if you lose focus or find yourself distracted. Taking a deep, deep inhale and a long, slow exhale. Just letting your breath calm and relax and restore your body and allow you to focus and be here with this time for yourself. Lifting up your head and switching to the opposite ear if you would like to. Moving into the second half of this side. Adjusting so that you can place your hands back down on the mat. Pressing your palms into the mat and again, lifting your chest up. Pressing down, stretching out the front of your chest, opening up your neck, and then walking your hands back in. Adjusting the bolster as you need to so that you can come back to tabletop position in your own way. Tucking that back foot, pressing your palms in, lifting up the left knee, bringing it back to underneath your hip. Walking your right leg in, maybe shifting your hips side to side or flowing through a cat-cow. Taking what you need to reset before we move to the other side. And then moving into the other side, pressing both hands into the mat. This time tucking your back left toe, shifting that leg back in space, and lifting up your right leg so that your knee comes towards your right wrist. Ankle opens up towards your left wrist. Some people's bodies are able to have their shin parallel to the top of the mat, but that is just the way that different people's hips are. So don't feel an expectation that your leg should be parallel to the top or that it should be in any type of way other than what feels the best for you and what brings you the most sensation in this posture. We all have very different hip structures, and that's okay. So pressing your hands into the mat, looking up, and then on an exhale, adjusting that bolster in front of you so that you can use it to drape your chest and your upper body if you'd like, or just coming down onto forearms, and then maybe draping yourself so that your forehead can rest on the mat, or one ear, and I'll let you know when it's time to shift if you would like to. Lifting up your head and shifting which ear is planted down if that's something you would like. Coming back to your breath, taking a really deep breath, seeing what cobwebs or places need to be cleaned out, and moving into those places and letting a deeper stretch come with the exhale. Letting something go, just being here, being held by your breath and the props. And on your next breath, planting your hands, pressing them into the mat, lifting your chest up, moving the bolster out from on your mat. We won't need it for now. Coming back to tabletop, tucking that back foot, pressing in, lifting up your knee, bringing it back under your hips. Sway side to side, flow through cat-cow. Do what you need to reset after pigeon pose. And our next series will be thread the needle. And so from this tabletop position, we'll start with our right arm. So press your left hand into the mat. Inhale and open up your right arm up to the ceiling, lifting it up towards the sky. Taking another inhale breath and just seeing if you can open up and stretch across your chest a little bit more. And then on an exhale breath, swinging it through underneath your left arm so that your right shoulder comes down to the mat, leaving your hips up high. And this time having your right ear, right side of your face on the mat. Should feel both a compression and an opening across your shoulder. You can choose if you'd like to shift your hips back in this so that it's kind of a child's pose as well as thread the needle. And you can also decide where you would like your left arm to be. You can have it just out as it is in this child's pose like arm or downward dog arm, or you can wrap it around so that you can grip onto your right hip in somewhat of a bind, wrapping it behind your back. Whatever works best for you. Just allow this posture to stretch out your shoulder. If it feels like too much of a balancing pose to leave your hips up, feel free to shift them back into a child's pose-like position. We're really coming into a lot of twists tonight, noticing both sides of our body as we do symmetrical poses and asymmetrical bodies. And just use the guidance and the wisdom that you're learning in noticing the differences on each side to remind yourself that no two experiences are the same, nor should we expect them to be. We have good days and bad days. We have easy moments and challenging moments. But each of these moments work together and kind of form our unique story and our experience. And so looking for what they can teach us, knowing that if we're in a season of challenging moments, there's another season to come. And on your next breath, planting your left hand back down if you had it wrapped around your body or adjusted in any way. And bring it back to next to your face. Press into the mat and unwind slowly the same way that you came in. Bringing your right arm back out from under your left, stretching it back up to the sky, fingertips to the ceiling. And then planting it back down underneath your right shoulder, flowing through a transition if you need to. And then we'll move right into the other side. So pressing your right hand down into the mat, lift your left arm up, open up that side. Notice if you're opening more on one side than the other, not judging yourself. Fingers up to the ceiling, inhale, breath. And exhale, sweep your arm underneath so that your left arm is coming underneath your right this time. Left ear, left side of the face is coming down to the mat. And deciding if you'd like your hips up towards the ceiling or shifted back to child's pose. If you'd like your right arm outstretched above your head or wrapped around, gripping onto your left hip. The choice is yours. Use your breath to guide yourself into this posture. Feeling a stretch across your left shoulder. Maybe also across your left side. And just noticing what you can release, where you're gripping. Making space with the inhales, moving into it with the exhales. Taking 3 more breaths here on this side. And then moving your right hand back towards next to your face, pressing into the mat and unwinding the same way you came in, lifting that left arm back up to the sky, fingertips to the ceiling. Maybe looking up to it as well. And then placing it back down on the mat, flowing through anything that you need to, and then sinking your hips back into child's pose. Either have your knees together or big toes touching, knees out wide. Just shift your hips back into child's pose. We'll just be here for a minute before moving into our final two-sided pose of a laying spinal twist. Just noticing what it feels like to be in this position with your chest draped forward, taking a deep breath into your lower back. Maybe noticing as you inhale how it feels to press your chest into the mat, and what your upper back feels like when you take that inhale breath. How does it make space? How does it press you further down into the ground? And then see if you can do an open mouth exhale, even though your head is face down. Just for surrender. Just be here for a minute or so. Take one more breath here in child's pose. Big inhale. And open mouth exhale. Press your palms into the mat. Lift yourself back up. And then find your own way to your back. Just lying straight back. Curling your knees into your chest. As you lie back, giving yourself a hug. Grabbing onto your knees or the tops of your shins. And just rock side to side. Come into happy baby real quick. So spreading your knees out and gripping onto the outsides of your feet with your feet pointed up towards the ceiling, soles of the feet. And just again, rocking side to side, imagining that you can pull your knees down into your armpits. It's a great way to feel into happy baby. You can maybe experiment with keeping one leg bent and stretching one leg out to the side if you would like, or stretching it straight up if that's in your practice tonight. But just rock side to side. Feel your back and your spine on the mat. Feel what it feels like to be face up again. And then bring your knees back in together, wrapping your arms around them again. And for this final posture of a twist, you can either just drop your knees to one side, or you can come into eagle legs. If you'd like to come into eagle legs, what you'll do is plant your feet back down on the mat, cross your left foot down, lift up your right leg, cross it over your left. And then I like to press my foot into the mat and shift my hips a little bit to the right so that I make sure when I drop my knees over to the left-hand side that it works best for me. And when you drop your knees to the left-hand side, trying to keep both shoulders planted on the mat as best as you can, looking straight up at the ceiling at first, facing your chest up to the ceiling. And then you can decide if you'd like to look over your right shoulder and add a neck stretch to this. And then decide if you'd like your arms out to the side or place your hands somewhere on your body. letting this twist wring out anything else that you need to let go of. Seeing if as you take an inhale breath, you can notice the expansion across your chest, as well as the compression if you have your legs wrapped around each other in eagle. Just have your knees moving in opposite direction from your upper body, feeling that full twist. Maybe dropping your head so that you look to one direction and notice what that feels like. Just about another minute on this side. And if you have your legs crossed, just uncross them and leave your knees stacked, dropped over to the left-hand side. Take an exhale. And then on an inhale breath, unwind, bringing your knees back up to the ceiling, moving the soles of your feet to the outer edges of your mat and dropping your knees in for just a breath or two, letting yourself feel neutral, letting the muscles in your pelvic floor relax and release. So as muscle relax. And then bringing the soles of your feet back closer to the center of your mat. This time pressing your right foot into the mat. Lift up your left leg, cross it over the right if you're coming into that eagle legs. And press your foot down, shift your hips a little bit to the left. Take an inhale, and then on an exhale, drop them over to the right. And deciding where you'd like your hands to be in your arms, using the next few breaths to release and soften into this posture, knowing this is our final posture before Shavasana, taking from it what you need, letting yourself twist and wring out the day, the week, the month, the year, or just some residual things that you're holding on to from a situation in your life. Just let it go. As we close out the month, maybe you like to set intentions for certain seasons or time passages. And think to yourself, what's something that maybe you want to focus on over the next 30 days? What's something that you want more of or to let go of? And just ask yourself if you can use your time through Yin Yoga of feeling sensation, sitting with discomfort, and letting things go and be to guide yourself closer to that. Keeping that in your mind, and maybe spending some time after this class, just write it down somewhere, make a note in your phone, tell a friend and ask them to ask you about it in 30 days, and just see what happens. Looking over one shoulder if you'd like to add a neck stretch, while keeping your neck neutral with your head up towards the ceiling, looking up towards the ceiling. On your next breath, uncrossing your legs if you had them crossed, leaving them to the side for just a moment. And then on an inhale breath, bringing your knees back up to the ceiling, taking any more movements you need, and then stretching your legs out long in front of you on the mat, coming into Shavasana. Nothing to do, nothing to hold on to, no specific way to move. Just allow yourself to lie flat on your back, with your legs outstretched and your arms in any place that Feels comfortable placing your hands, maybe one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart, or just allowing your arms to be down to the sides. We'll be here for 3 minutes. No need to do anything special with your breath, your body, your mind. Just let everything soak in and integrate. Shavasana. You find your mind wandering to what you're doing next. Come back to that visualization we did at the beginning of class of breathing in and filling yourself with your favorite color. And just take a couple breaths, filling yourself up, letting yourself be held by your breath, by the mat. And just be here for a couple more minutes, using these last few minutes of the time that you've given yourself. So just rest. And then in your own time, in your own way, bringing your feet up, pressing your feet into the mat, and rolling over to one side. Just spending a breath or two in the fetal position, laying on your side, curling your knees in. And then use your hands to press yourself into the mat. Bring yourself up to a comfortable seat, similar to how we began, coming back to how we started. Noticing if anything feels different, placing your hands wherever is comfortable on your body, on your knees, hands together at heart center, or both hands stacked on top of each other on your chest. And we'll take one final breath together, inhaling, thanking yourself for taking this time, and exhale, letting anything else go that you need to let go of. Thank you for taking this time for yourself and to practice with me. Have a great night.